as I demonstrate each of these, try to do as much of this work by yourself without watching me as you can, because it's certainly much easier to follow along with my decision making than it is to decide what to do next yourself. The first thing I do for each of these problems is always going to be to take the original amount that I want to convert and rewrite it with units over 1. Now I want to go from inches to miles, so I look at my chart and I notice that I know that 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, and I know that 5,280 feet will equal 1 mile. And so therefore a potential path for conversion would be to go from inches to feet and then go from feet to miles. And that is going to look like this. I'll have 2 conversion factors. The first one will take me from inches to feet. The next one will take me from feet to miles. So I want to cancel out inches and be left with feet by the first multiplication. And I know that 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. And now my units can cancel, and I can think of this as having converted to feet. Now I want to go from feet to mile. So I'm going to write feet here, so these will cancel, and then miles will go in the numerator. And I know that 5,280 feet go with 1 mile. So I can cancel my feet, and I'm left with miles. So in my numerator, I have 5,400 times 1 with the unit miles. And in my denominator, I have 1 times 12 times 5,280, which is equal to 63,360 with no units left there. So now I'm going to take 5,400 divided by 63,360, and that will give me approximately 0.0852, etc. And typically we're going to have some rules about what to round to. You just look at the directions for the specific problem, like in Connect Math, in order to determine what to round to for your problem. There's not like a specific rule we always follow. I do, however, want you to include your units in your final answer. All right, so that's our first question. When we want to do question 2, we're going to take a look at weeks to seconds. So I want you to pause for a second, try to do this yourself, and then come back. Okay, so now to take a look at this one together, we always start the same way. We take what we're starting with our units over 1. And then I want a bit of a path. So I know that 1 week is equal to 7 days. I'm trying to get to seconds. So I'm going to keep breaking that down. 1 day is equal to 24 hours. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. And 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And notice I didn't use just M for minute because M usually stands for meters. So MI is miles, M is meters, MIN is minutes. So my path here that I've mapped out is that I'm going to go weeks to days, days to hours, hours to minutes, and minutes to seconds. So I'm going to have several steps, all kind of one after another. The first thing I want is to go from weeks to days. So I'm going to put weeks in the denominator to cancel and leave days up here. And there's 7 days in 1 week. And now the weeks are canceled. Now we can do the same thing to go from days, which should cancel out, to hours. There are 24 hours in 1 day. So days cancel, and I'm left with just hours. And my next one will take me from hours to minutes. There are 60 minutes in 1 hour. And now my hours units cancel. And my very final factor will be going from minutes to seconds. So that's 60 seconds for 1 minute. And then these cancel. So for my numerator, I'm going to do 16 times 7 times 24 times 60 times 60, which gives me 9,676,800, and my units that are left are seconds in the numerator. And in my denominator, I really just have ones. So all the ones multiplied together, no units, means that that basically can just be not written. Now, when we go to the next one, we're going from 54 yards to millimeters. We're going to use the fact that 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters to be able to do this with dimensional analysis. So again, go ahead and pause the video, try it yourself, and then come back and watch the explanation. All right, for 54 yards, we're going to start by writing what we have, 54 yards over 1. We're going to map out our path. We have the following equivalencies that will be helpful. I know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. But I'm not trying to get to feet, I'm trying to get to millimeters. So I'm going to look around a little bit and think backwards. If I know that 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeters, then I'm trying to get basically from feet to centimeters. And the only way that I can transition between systems that I'm seeing off the top of my head is that 2.54 centimeters is equal to 1 inch. So I can see that if I can get from yards to feet, and then from feet to inches, which I can do, I know 1 foot is 12 inches, then I've got yards to feet, feet to inches, inches to centimeters, centimeters to millimeters. So that's my path, and I can write it out as follows: yards to feet to inches to centimeters to millimeters. And now let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to go from yards to feet. So I want yards to cancel and leave me with feet. And for every 1 yard, there are 3 feet. My units cancel. Next, I want to go from feet to inches. So feet will go in the denominator to cancel. Inches will go in the numerator. There are 12 inches in every 1 foot. And my units cancel. Next, I want to go from inches to centimeters. So my inches need to cancel and be left with centimeters. And there are 2.54 centimeters in every 1 inch. And now my units cancel. And my last factor is going to be that I want my centimeters to cancel and leave me with millimeters. And there is 1 centimeter in every 10 millimeters. And so these now cancel. So just like the other example in number 2, all of the activity is really happening in the numerator. So I multiply 54 by 3 by 12 by 2.54 by 10, and I get 49,377.6 millimeters over 1. So I've got each of those 3 answers here. Okay, continuing into number 4, again, we're going to begin by writing what we're starting with the units, over 1. And what we're going to do is start by going from the chart and noticing that I know that 1 ounce is equal to 28.3 grams. And that's what's going to help me go from grams closer to pounds. Because if I can get from grams to ounces, then I'm going to be able to get from ounces to pounds. And just FYI, if you're not already familiar, 1 lb is 1 pound. So that conversion will look like the following steps. We're going to go from grams to ounces to pounds. And here's how we do it. We first multiply to get grams to cancel, leaving us with ounces. So 28.3 grams is equal to 1 ounce. And now grams cancel. And we now want to go from ounces to pounds. So ounces needs to go in the denominator to cancel. And pounds will be left up here. And there are 16 ounces in 1 pound. Ounces cancel. and we end up with 1.09 times 1 times 1 pounds in the numerator. And then 1 times 28.3 times 16, which is 452.8, no units in the denominator. So to finish that off, we're going to do 1.09 divided by 452.8, which is approximately equal to 0.0024 pounds. In the next problem, we want to go from inches to yards. This is a bit simpler of a computation. We can sort of picture that this path will go from inches to feet to yards. And so therefore, we can again begin by writing what we are starting with over 1. And then to get from inches to feet, we want inches to cancel, leaving us with feet. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches, and now the inches cancel. And now we want to get from feet to yards. We want feet to cancel, leaving us with yards. 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. And we have 19 times 1 times 1, which is 19, and the units are yards in the numerator. And then 1 times 12 times 3, which is 36 with no units in the denominator. And that gives me approximately 0.527 repeating, which we can round to 0.528 yards. For the next problem, we have a direct conversion from inches to centimeters. So we can simply write 840 inches over 1. And the conversion is that if we want inches to cancel, leaving us with centimeters, we want inches in the denominator. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Units cancel, and we have 840 times 2.54, which is equal to 2,133.6 centimeters all over 1. And last example on this page, also pretty straightforward conversion. We have 32 feet all over 1 times, and we want to go from feet to meters. 1 meter is equal to 3.28 feet. My units cancel, and I basically end up with 32 meters over 3.28. I'm going to do 32 divided by 3.28, and that gets me approximately 9.756. So this is 9.756 meters.